All right, so we're going to do exercises 20-1 and 20-2. I'm going to start by taking the start files that you downloaded from Blackboard or that you got from the book, and I'm going to put them in the folder where I do all my work, which is this Visual Studio Projects folder. I'm going to put that folder in there. Again, this is what you downloaded from Blackboard, and rename it 20-1, and I'm just going to put the date on here because I have a lot of these in here. But there it is. And opening up 20-1. Give me 1 second. Alright, so this is 20-1. It says display the code for the customer form. So this is add customer. And what we're doing is we're looking at the IntelliSense here and noticing that there is no help function. So you can see when you create a new customer, it's not really telling you what's going on. And in this case, this is the constructor taking in some arguments. So we're going to go into the customer class, and right above the constructor that's taking the arguments, I'm going to hit apostrophe 3 times to start a comment, and it automatically gives me the XML documentation for that sub-procedure. So this is the constructor that creates a customer and populates the properties. Save that. Now when I go back to add customer, when we make a new one, you can see that my help task appears in the IntelliSense. So in 20-1, you're going to go through and comment, put XML documentation in throughout the entire customer class. All right. That is 20-1, quickly. Obviously, like I said, you're going to do a little bit more on your own. So going into 20-2, we're creating a new project. And normally we've been making a Windows Form project using the .NET framework in Visual Basic. But what we are doing this time is we're creating a class library. So if we search for class library, you see there's actually a few options here. So we want Visual Basic, and we want to make sure we're using the .NET framework. So class library, .NET framework, and it has the VB icon here, or it says Visual Basic. And we're calling this validation lib. Again, I need to put the date on here because I have this already created. The .NET framework that we're using is 4.7.2. Go ahead and hit create. So this gets made. Go ahead and close the class1.vb, and we're actually going to delete this file. So right click and delete, and that's gone. Okay, and then add the validator.vb file from the customer maintenance project you worked on in the previous exercise. This is step 1 of exercise 22. So I'm going to project, add existing item, and I'm going to find where the validator.vb file is. Here it is, validator.vb. You have this file, numerous times in all the projects you've been working on, but we just added it to this project. All right, we're going to change step 2. Change the name of the project namespace to Murach. So double click on my project, and the root namespace, we're going to call it Murach. And then change the namespace in the validator class to validation. So if you open up the class, again, changing the namespace is just by putting in the word namespace, and then what are we going to call this? They want to call it validation. And then this end namespace is going to go at the end of our code. So it's like that. So we have namespace validation, then we have the class. Visual Studio indented it again for us, and then end namespace. Remember, a namespace kind of encapsulates related classes. But you can see that there's these errors here. Type text box is not defined, message box is not defined. These are things that are in the system Windows form namespace, which when you're building a Visual Basic project and you create a new form, it automatically gets added to your project. But because this is a class library, it is not added. So we have to add this reference. So I'm going to go to Project and add reference. And under Assemblies, I'm going to search for System Windows Forms. Just clicking on it's not enough. You need to click on the checkbox next to it and then say OK. And then what we're going to do is also add an import statement here. Imports system.windows.forms. And once you add that import statement, all the errors should go away for like your text box and your message box.show. All right, so we're going to save this real quick. We're actually going to change the what type of build we're doing here to a release build, and then go to build solution. So it's compiling, build succeeded. You don't really see anything happening, but what happened was, I opened this up. Here's the folder I was working with, and if I go to bin release, we have now this DLL that just got created. So what we need to do is we get to go back to 20-1 and tell it to use this DLL. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to go back to my exercise 21. Open that up. And the first thing we need to do is delete the validator.vb file. We're going to delete this one. And when we do that, if we look at the code for add customer, it should be, yep, it's throwing some errors because the validator class is not present. We just deleted it. So we have to add a reference to that validator lib that we added, we just created in the previous step. So again, project, add reference, and this time I'm going to go to browse and hit browse again, and I'm going to find the validation lib. Now remember, I have the date on here, but yours is just going to say validation lib. Open that up, open up bin, open up release, and there you have your DLL file. Click add and then OK. So we're one step closer. We need to now add a import statement here. We need to import Murach. That's what we called our project namespace, .validation. And now the validator class is accessible to us. Save this, and it should be able to run with no errors. Oh, I didn't turn off my my antivirus. But anyway, you can see it ran, no errors, and that is how you run this project.